do have a micro grant that we now disperse to arts and culture organizations. It's called the Arts Fund, and it's up to $4,000. We're very excited to be funding a lot of really cool projects. Deadline's August 31st. Eligibility is any not-for-profit organization or ad hoc collective group, but we also are opening it up for different partnerships. So if you're a private entity and you do have a really cool project idea, you can partner with an organization or with a group of artists, an ad hoc collective. The types of projects we're looking to fund are public-facing projects. So that can be an event, it can be like a learning experience or a workshop. Anything that engages community, has artistic practice at its core.
Cool. Welcome to Richard Forte Presents. Such a pleasure to have you here joining us today. Adam is behind the console making sure everything works. Holly Cunningham is our guest today, talking about creative industries, the Finch, the band, Peach Pact. Holly is a talent of all sorts. So thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks, Rich.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Finally here.
Yeah. So talk to me. Let's get right into creative industries.
Yes.
What is happening right now in the executive director? That's your job?
Yes.
Technically, that's the title. I'm sure you, in that job, hold many different jobs.
Yes.
And have many hats. What are you guys talking about these days? I know there's a grant.
Yeah.
A new grant out.
Yes. So very exciting. Creative Industries has so first of all, we are the not-for-profit organization in town that kind of oversees arts and culture. We like to see ourselves as a sort of a pseudo-arts council, a municipal arts council, which traditionally is a group that is at arm's length of the city hall itself, but distributes funding on behalf of the city to the arts and culture sector. So we are very excited that we are now technically a funder. We don't have a ton of money to give out, but we do have a micro grant that we now disperse to arts and culture organizations and groups in town. It's called the Arts Fund, and it's up to $4,000. And we are pushing that right now. So a lot of our work in the last year has been to sort of build up to that, make sure that we have a very open and transparent process for applying, and then we also have a really good and solid peer assessment jury process. So making sure that the way that, applications get assessed and money gets distributed is very transparent and is, free of conflict, which is hard for a small community sometimes.
Yeah,
but
everybody knows everybody and is on, and especially if you're active, you're involved with a lot of stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So those things have to be taken into consideration when you're building a granting program here. But we did take a lot of our cue from the provincial arts funder, the Ontario Arts Council. So we kind of just borrowed a lot of processes that already exist. Why reinvent the wheel? Yep. And we're very excited to be funding a lot of really cool projects. So last year was the first year that the fund rolled out, and this will be year 2.
Excellent. And for those who really want to know and get their project, and maybe you could talk about specifically the types of projects and the types of organizations or people that qualify or that you're really targeting. But I know it's August 31st. Yes. It's like the end of the month. We're going to put this out next week to be quick and give people at least a couple weeks to prepare.
It's a very short application, so you definitely could get it in even if you only had a week.
Exactly.
So yes, deadline's August 31st. Eligibility is any not-for-profit organization or ad hoc collective group. And folks who don't know what that means, basically any formalized group that has come together over a project or over some kind of a shared artistic organizational model. So if you are unsure whether you would fit that, just get in contact with us. We definitely don't want any barriers for folks to not apply if they think that they might not be eligible. But we also are opening it up for different partnerships. So if you're a private entity and you do have a really cool project idea, you can partner with an organization or with a group of artists, an ad hoc collective, and put an application in there. Again, we just want to make sure that we are, opening it up to the arts and culture community, but we also don't want to put too many restrictions on who can apply. But we also want that to be within a certain boundary.
And there's no harm in trying. Even I was looking at it, and even though the project I was thinking might not exactly fit within the box, what's good about answering those questions, as much as they could be torture, is they force you to articulate your idea.
Exactly.
They force you to get real about what you're trying to do. So just for that, I'm going to apply with a project that might not qualify. But, it just goes to show to anybody who's maybe watching this or listening that just try it. Go answer the questions. It makes you have to concentrate. And if you get $4,000 of support, then bravo. And if not, well, maybe you're a step closer to articulating your idea for the sponsor, the corporate sponsor that might be in line for this. So
it's a great exercise for anyone who hasn't ever applied for a grant before. It's an amazing exercise in, like you said, distilling your idea and really getting a sense of what you're doing. I usually come away from a grant writing session like just with a much more solid like plan and concept for what I want to do. And just furthermore, for eligibility, the types of projects we're looking to fund are public facing projects. So that can be an event. It can be like a learning experience or a workshop. Anything that engages community, has artistic practice at its core. I think hopefully that gives some context there.
How many years have you been... It's years now, right? At Creative Industries, or
actually,
a year?
1
year.
Yeah, so just over a year.
Now? Like your anniversary was in July?
No, actually, I started in, I think it was May of 2023. So
so
I'm just over a year.
One full year.
Yeah.
But you had been involved. I mean, for people who don't know your background as well as I do, why don't we give them a little, because you've been involved with a lot of neat organizations, arts organizations, advocacy groups. I mean, you've been on the mission, right?
Yes.
For a few years,
and
trying
I was
to get things organized.
I was involved in Creative Industries since the beginning as a board member on and off.
Yeah.
So it feels like I've been there for a very long time, but not in an official capacity as executive director. Previous was at the Media Lab. Yeah, so the Near North Mobile Media Lab. I was there for, I want to say, 13 or 14 years, so quite a while. Which was great. I loved that experience. And then through that, I made a lot of connections within the media arts community. So I was on the Media Arts Network of Ontario board, and then I was on the national IMAA board, so the Independent Media Arts Alliance of Canada. Was involved in Ice Follies, was on the Whitewater board. So just very, you get into on one track of experience, it kind of branches out like a tree into all these other places. So,
and of course, Holly, with your background, you're an active musician. You're in the recording process right now, right? With Peach Pact.
Yeah.
So what's cool is you're not just like an administrator. You're also looking at these things from an artist yourself who's involved in the community, doing all sorts of stuff. Can you talk to us about this album? What's happening?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I follow you guys on Instagram. Peach Pact on Instagram.
Yeah.
Look it up. There's stories, and I see you guys were recording in Sudbury and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So tell us about the band. I've had Vanessa on. Vanessa's like brilliant.
Yes.
Tinganelli, of course, for those who don't know, look up that show.
Yeah.
But so tell me about the band.
Okay, yeah. So, previous to this, I was actually in a folk band called Hidden Roots Collective.
That's
and we were, so playing a very different genre of music, but within the last 5 or 6 years, kind of got more involved in playing more, I guess, like garage, riot girl, punk music with some of my friends.
So fun.
And that kind of snowballed like any creative project. It started out as just fun.
Yeah.
And we were, it was actually my birthday, 2018. We decided to have an all-girl jam party in my basement, just basically because, for folks who don't know the music community in North Bay, it's pretty common to have like jam parties. So people get together, play music, have some drinks, whatever. And we just noticed that like maybe the women or people who are like femme are just a little less like comfortable jumping onto the instruments and playing. So I wanted to make sort of, I guess, a safe space, a comfortable space for all the ladies and the girls to get, into maybe playing an instrument they hadn't before or whatever. So we got cake, we got champagne, we went into the basement, we just had like the best night. And there was a core group of like 5 of us that kept getting together every Friday and having these jam nights.
So neat.
And then that dropped down to 4 because one of them moved away. And then Peach Pact was 4 folks, and then our 4th moved away as well. And then it just kind of like ended up the 3 of us. So, and we didn't really have any plans to like write an album or like formally write music but it just organically happened. And then we thought, okay, people are digging this. Let's play a show. Okay, people love this. Let's write an album. Okay, let's apply for funding. Okay, and it just keeps going.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I guess,
And you guys travel together as friends too, from what I see. So it looks like you probably get inspired on your trips.
Totally, yeah. Yeah. So we
to like do something
exactly,
different.
yeah, which can be really impactful. So we, in 2019, I feel like it was about a year after we started as a band, or when we finally decided we're gonna like do this, we went to Palm Springs for like 4 days because we found a deal on Expedia. And we just kind of we actually wrote a lot of music like around that experience. And we joke that we're from Palm Springs. Like sometimes when we open a show, we'll be like, we're Peach Pact from Palm Springs, California. But yeah, it's funny how those things happen where you don't anticipate or taking it seriously, and then it sort of, people are responding to it. So you're like, okay, maybe there's a thing here.
I don't know if you follow Rick Rubin at all, the famous record producer, but he had a book about a year and a half, I think, over a year ago, he came out with this book. And that's what he says. Like, when you get into the studio and you want to make great music, like the last thing you worry about is the audience. Just do what you want to do. And he goes through example after example of bands, projects. They were doing what they want to do. And then when it's released, it has a mind of its own and so many variables outside your control.
Exactly.
But as an artist, it should be for the love of the art.
Yep.
And that's what it sounds this
The other thing too is I think like a lot of us, Vanessa had been playing bass for a while. She'd been in a band in Guelph, and Lynn's had played guitar, but not electric guitar. So, and I had not really played drums. Like I just kind of played around on the drum kit that was in our house because my partner's a drummer. And so we kind of felt almost like we're faking it. Like, or, you feel that,
imposter syndrome,
right? And it's only recently that I've started to be like, okay, yeah, I'm a drummer. Like I can do this, and people are responding, and I'm actually like keeping a beat, and it's okay that I'm not like the most experienced drummer in the world, but you don't have to be, like, as long as you're fitting the art that you're making and you're doing it in a way that is like passionate and real. I don't think it matters. So
like the technical stuff that like it's not about that. It's a feel, it's a vibe, it's an energy, and it's all of you together. It's the pact.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the crew. You come with the whole thing.
I think when you find people who you jive with in that way, when you actually find your artistic equals, or you find folks where, magic happens. That's kind of what's happening with Peach Pact, which is really cool. We truly do write our music collectively.
That's cool.
So in some bands, there's like someone who kind of controls writing or whatever. It's like, it's been like a very collective process. Nice. And it's just cool to see that happen.
That's awesome. There's one other thing I would love to share with people, because I don't know if they know, because like I said, I follow you on this stuff, so I know what's going on. But you have this you're an entrepreneur. So I was actually meeting on business development with Scott Murphy, who's a friend and helps me. And Scott was like, you got to talk on your podcast. You got to have Holly Cunningham come. Do you know, as an entrepreneur, she's like really on the ball. Like she would be fantastic for you to talk to. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to reach out again to Holly and have her on, which kind of catalyzed me to just reach out to you finally, because I've been thinking about it, but then didn't get to it. So Scott, thanks for the hot tip. But basically, you got into the hotel industry, or what would you call it? It's like
I guess the hospitality.
It's bigger hospitality. It's not a
accommodation.
hotel. It's how many? Tell me about the Finch.
Yeah. So the Finch is, I would call it accommodation tourist business, I guess. It's only 4 cottages on a property that used to be. It's actually been around since the 30s. Yeah. So. It's sort of like that old cottage resort model from Northern Ontario, very popular in Canada in the 50s and up until probably the 90s. But just saw an opportunity for our tourism market.
Offer something new, different.
Exactly,
You guys went in there, you cleaned it all up, you made it all hip, took great pictures.
I think, too, I'm actually someone who loves to travel myself. So I just sort of notice a lot about things while I'm traveling, about what's been done well and what maybe could be done better. And so maybe that interest, like I have an actual focused interest on that, helps to drive something like this. I think if you're going to start a business, this would be my advice. If you're going to start a business, you got to really love what you're doing, because it can be really difficult. It could get like long days, like just the beginning when we were first starting out, the amount of time that we dedicated to renovating. We did a lot of it. We hired a lot of friends to help us, but some of it we did ourselves. But if you really love it, then like it kind of just, the dopamine's flowing, and you can just kind of get into the flow, and then you can like, it helps.
But the payoff in business often is much, much later.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I had a great job in my 20s, and, you know, you get paid every 2 weeks. It's great. You don't think much of it. And then I thought, you know, as an entrepreneur in my early 30s, when I'm like, I'm going to go into business for myself.
Yeah.
Now I'm in my early 40s, and I'm like, oh my God, it's hard to earn what you do in a salary in profit.
Yes.
Like way harder.
Yeah, totally.
And ideas, I always say, are easy. The execution, a whole other game.
Yep.
I'm sure in the hospitality, my dad had a hotel for a while, so we'd get calls in a restaurant. So it's like when everybody else is off, you have to be on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Too.
Yep.
Because people are coming for the weekend, evenings, like it's odd times.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So what have you learned about our region by being a provider of hospitality services here? Because you're right, traveling goes away and gives us perspective on where we are and what we might want to do here.
Yep.
But now as an operator here, what have you learned about our region as an operator? Question.
So I would say that I have learned a lot about who travels here and why they travel here, which is interesting to me. I'm also a data person. Like I love to look at data and look at trends and things like that. Okay. I had an inkling before I started the Finch that there was a lot of millennials and a lot of younger folks traveling that maybe we were not providing a market for in North Bay. Turns out that's pretty true.
Yeah.
And it's interesting just to see those dynamics. So the majority of people that I'm seeing at the Finch are coming from Southern Ontario, which isn't surprising because the majority of Canada lives in Southern Ontario. At least between the Windsor and the Montreal corridor, I think 60% of the population of our country. So, 60% of the population is living within like a 5-hour drive of us.
Yeah.
That's pretty huge, right? Yeah. There's a huge market there. And lots of those people are young families and millennials and are now, in their careers and love to travel. They want unique experiences. They want to feel like something is maybe not, just something they can get in the town over from them, but something that's like more unique to the experience of where they're going. Yeah. So one thing that I found was that folks are usually coming to the Finch because they want to, experience what North Bay has to offer, and not just like our outdoor stuff, but like also they want to know about restaurants. They want to know about the breweries. They want to know about what's going on at night in the arts and culture. So I try really hard to like put them in touch with those things. And I mean, just through the process of hosting, right? Really, because that's what you're doing. You're hosting. You're being a host. And I think that's really what it's all about. And if you can do that really well and anticipate people's needs and kind of like, if someone tells me something, like I just had someone book and they said, I'm booking for, we're going up with a friend, like a couple, and he's going to propose and she doesn't know. So we need some advice on where he should propose, right? So I'm getting information, I'm doing research. I'm like, oh yes, I love when that happens. And I'm like, I can make their stay really magical. Or like people will be like, I'm coming up for an anniversary. We've had people get married at the Finch on the beach. They've eloped there and stuff. So like, we love to just like make it extra special and try to understand who they are first. And then, what do you like to do? And what, why are you coming here? And that kind of thing. And people ask us for recommendations. We've kind of got like pre-done sheets where we're like, here's the restaurants, here's the, here's the hiking trails, here's the cool events happening this week and stuff like that. So, I think giving that personal touch so they feel like they're being hosted by a local. They're not just going to like a hotel and they don't really know who.
And there's also the kind of Airbnb-ification of tourism.
Yes.
Which is, like when I said hotel, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not a hotel because they're these little cabins, but it's bigger than one Airbnb. Yeah. Like it's bigger than a house or a room.
And we use Airbnb as one of our channels. So yeah.
So the standard for hospitality is just changing so much.
And that can run the gamut too, right? When you're at an Airbnb, you can get like a very personalized experience, very hands-on, or just super hands-off, whatever. And some guests want that. So you kind of have to gauge, like, are these people just like, they want like the contactless check-in. They want like, they want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Or do you want, are they like really engaging us and want to know more about the community and that kind of thing? But yeah.
That's very, very
also
cool.
Dogs, like we're dog friendly, and the amount of dogs that are at the Finch at any given day, like
really?
People love traveling with their dogs.
Yeah.
Lots of people have dogs now. A lot of young families have dogs, and we're very, it's great that we're dog friendly. We do have to like make sure that they, respect the neighborhood and the beach, but it's pretty cool to see. We made that conscious decision early on that we would be dog friendly, and I mean most hotels are now, but
But also for that type of beach getaway.
Yes.
Because you're at the beach.
Exactly.
Like this is a beach place.
Yep.
This is
to
experience Lake Nipissing.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So those are 3 big projects. It looks like really you thrive with a lot going on.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like,
yeah.
Have you always been like that?
I think so. I mean, I think there was probably a time in my late teens, early 20s where I felt like I wasn't doing enough.
Okay.
And then I said yes to everything. Yeah. And then I had to pull back.
Too much.
That's kind of like, it's a lesson that you learn is how to say no and pull back.
Yeah.
But I think now I choose projects that I'm very passionate about. So
because it takes it. It takes it to do it right.
It does, yeah. It does. And then you kind of have to be really careful with overextending yourself to stuff that maybe you're not as passionate about. And even if you are passionate about all of it, you can't do it all. Like you have to sort of at some point, and I can be bad at this because I do take a lot on, but you do need to be like, okay, I can do 20 things like mediocre, or I can do 5 things really, really well. Mm-hmm. So you really don't want to sacrifice that quality for like all, saying yes to everything. Yeah. But I've always been like that. When I was a little kid, I kind of like could never make up my mind. I was always just like, I want to do this. I want to do that.
What's your sign? What's
Aquarius.
I'm a Gemini, so a lot of air out there, but we got to land it.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Aquarius. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So there's the Finch, there's Creative Industries, and of course the band. Do we know when Peach Pact might come out with this? I don't want to put you under pressure because I know you're in a process.
So we don't know. It's likely going to be next year.
Okay.
But
But we can't wait to see that.
Who knows when singles will come, but we're kind of in a process of like exploring some options, and it'll be exciting.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations. Thanks again is there anything else you think we want to share for sure while you're here? The deadline's the grant. So that's
the grant is great.
That's like a new thing that people out there could benefit from.
Yeah. I think honestly like getting that. The channels. Yes. Definitely.
And Adam, you will tag all the channels in the post, and we'll.
And also, just anyone out there who wants to get in touch with Creative Industries, if you're like in the sector, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're, connect with us, talk to us. We have subcommittees that we, often will consult with to like sort of guide our vision of how to like help promote you to the community or help to advocate on your behalf. So,
and you have a great newsletter. Check out the Creative Industries newsletter once a month.
We have quite a high click rate.
Yeah, so. It's pretty. I check it out because you have the events and a bunch of stuff happening and your twist on everything. So, congratulations on the 1 year passing. Thank 1 year Creative Industries. Thank you so much for coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Check out Holly wherever you're following the stuff. Whatever app you're on, she's trackable pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm all over and Adam, thanks for doing this once again. Always got to give shout out to Adam because he's the one who makes it happen.
Nice.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe, join, and like, follow, share. You know the deal. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.